Welcome, everybody. I've got some incredible breaking news in the world of sports and health. We are talking to UFC Hall of Famers Pat Miletich and Bas Rutten and champion powerlifter and wrestler and stuntman Paul Lazenby. They are going to tell us about this incredible new breakthrough product that is getting them to new heights in their physical journey that can help anyone and everyone, and especially anyone in the athletic world. You're not going to want to miss this. Join Liz and myself, David, as we interview these guys right now. Start with Pat Miletich, an absolute legend in mixed martial arts in the UFC. He's a UFC Hall of Famer, was a UFC welterweight champion, UFC 16 welterweight tournament winner, and he founded the Miletich fighting system, which is legendary on its own, creating more than 11 MMA world champions, including Matt Hughes, who was a UFC welterweight champion and UFC Hall of Famer, Tim Silva, which was a heavyweight champion, lightweight champion Pence Pulver, Elite XC middleweight champion, and former UFC welterweight champion Robbie Lawler, to name a few. We're talking legend, guys. Let's get right to talking to Pat. Here's the deal. Pat, we've known you for years. We've done some projects together. We've done projects with, of course, a lot of the people in the MMA world, Big John McCarthy and Bas Rutten and those guys. We trust you. We love you. We know that if you say something, you're not wasting anybody's time. You are saying it because there is a legit and considerate reason for it, right? And that's one of the things that really drew us to finding out more about what this product is. I mean, and here's the thing. People know you professionally. If you're an MMA person, how do you not know, the Miletich Institute, right? Your fighting camp is just, world renowned when it comes to the superstars you've produced, not to mention, you've held multiple belts, you've got records, you're in the Hall of Fame, all of this stuff. But, in your world, outside of, your professional history, you got this product and did some really phenomenal things with it for yourself as well as for some of your students. And I want to hear a little bit about that, if you could elaborate a bit.
Nice. Pat and Paul, I have some reach into some MMA gyms here in Southern California. And if you had a direct message to some of those athletes, I know that you've explained a couple of things, but if you could talk directly to them, what would you say? Why should they get on this product?
Go ahead, Paul.
I was actually going to paraphrase you, Pat, and just say that this is going to be a legal but unfair advantage in mixed martial arts very soon. Why don't you take it from here, Pat? Because I was just going to be using your words anyway.
Yeah, well, for me, when I was on the product before many, many, many years ago that increased oxygen by 20% at a cellular level, I didn't tell anybody except my fighters. And the guys that you saw on TV, they were on that product. And we were known for running people into the ground endurance-wise. That was one of our true, work ethic had a lot to do with that. Our practice was brutally hard. A lot of fighters traveled in from around the world who were already very good fighters, but when you climbed in our room of between 40 and 50 guys in our prime, as a team, we had 40 to 50 guys ranked in the top 10 in the world. That's a huge number of people. Yes. Who are very, very scary individuals and very intense individuals. Yeah. So when fighters would come from other places, other gyms, they were the big fish coming out of a little pond into a jungle of monsters. And they, most of the time, didn't last longer than 2 or 3 days when they planned on staying 6 weeks because of the endurance and the intensity, right? They just couldn't handle it. So with that product, our team was, and for a decade, I kept that secret. I don't know how we pulled it off, but we kept it secret. And I told all my fighters, don't you ever tell anyone what we take. Never. I don't want anybody to get this. So anyway, with this product, I'm no longer a coach. I no longer have a team, so I don't care. But I do care. I do care that athletes have the ability to recover from their workouts correctly, the ability to train so intensely that they, the hardest part of a camp is the camp itself, not the fight. So, my mentality was always, and mixed martial arts and combat sports, people get hurt badly. People have lost their lives. I witnessed a kid many, many years ago when I was sitting ringside as a guest at a show a kid died in a kickboxing match. His heart blew up because he wasn't properly conditioned. He was overweight, and somebody who wasn't a good coach put him in there, and he passed away. I never wanted to be the person who had to look at a parent or a spouse and say, you know, your loved one's dead or permanently damaged because I didn't train them correctly and prepare them, right? I was the guy that had to weed the weak ones out who did not belong in that room. And that's the way I saw it, because I never wanted to witness that again. So with this product, you know, coaches, athletes, everybody can have confidence in the fact that at 45% more oxygen at a cellular level, that's like drinking a hyperbaric chamber and an altitude tent all at the same time.
Yeah.
Athletes are going to improve their endurance dramatically. They're going to heal better. You know, all of it is so important for not only just staying healthy and competing and winning, but after you're done fighting, the damage that you've taken, well, you got to be able to get through that, because, you know, people are not the same after combat sports are done with them. You know, so that's the thing that I would tell them. If you want to win fights, or at least have the best shot at winning fights, because you don't run out of gas, because you can be the toughest guy in the world or the toughest gal in the world 5 minutes, but that fight goes 7 minutes, your ass is grass. And that's what it comes down to, is technique and endurance. You put those two things together, plus that natural grit that people have, and they're going to be successful. So the athletes that are going to be on it, and like I've said, there are UFC fighters already ordering this, they are going to have an advantage over you, no doubt about it. And you know, we're finding out already. You know, I had a fighter who won a world title come up to me after the show. I called the fight, didn't even know he was on black oxygen. He came up to me, and during the fight I was saying, I don't think people understand how much endurance it takes to move like this kid's moving for 25 minutes. This is insane. He's not even that good of a striker, and he looks like Floyd Mayweather right now. And I'm not joking. It was dramatic. He's an incredible wrestler, a brawler, tough guy, but he completely changed as an athlete. And he came up to me at the hotel after the show, and he said, "Pat, I want to tell you something. I've been on black oxygen for 6 weeks. You changed my life, dude." No. And that's that moment.
Amazing.
Like for me, when I won a world title on a product that added only 20% more oxygen, just think of that. That I just probably changed the trajectory of that kid's career. He was, you know, he very easily could have won that fight anyway. But I tell you what, the style in which he did it makes him a lot more marketable.
Wait a bit.
Well, and you know, for me, I have experience in terms of products like this. I mean, I've been approached, of course, you know, over my fighting career, coaching career, and broadcasting career by hundreds of companies. Here, take this, it'll make you Superman, you know, and then you can talk about it and maybe get the sponsorship deal and that sort of stuff. I became a label reader and pretty educated about what worked and what didn't, let's put it that way. But, you know, for me, I was on a product many years ago. I have a respiratory issue from black mold growing up in the basement of a flooded house. So I'm somebody who, without correct stuff, without the correct products, I can't breathe very well. I mean, I really have trouble. Basically, I guess like asthma or worse at times, but I build up lactic acid super fast when I exercise, all that sort of stuff. And always wondered why I couldn't breathe right until the black mold thing came about, right? So even to the point my high school wrestling coach asked me if I smoked cigarettes. So a gentleman gave me a product many years ago when I started my professional kickboxing career before the UFC that added 20% more oxygen at a cellular level. And that completely changed my endurance. I was able to train super hard. I was able to do things that I never even dreamed of doing endurance-wise. And that one supplement won me a world title because it allowed me to train and gain the endurance needed to be able to run people into the ground, basically. Chris, who's on this call, of course, came to me and said, I have a product that adds 45% more oxygen at a cellular level. The minute I heard that and that it was all organic and plant-based, I knew that it was game over, literally game over. This was going to be the biggest breakthrough for human health and healing and athletic endurance by far. So I knew it was a done deal. So when I got on it, I put my kids on it, my two daughters, all three of my daughters, but my two oldest daughters, one's a competitive swimmer, a junior in high school right now. and then my 18-year-old who got a Division I scholarship for academics in rowing, and she's down in Florida at the university now.
Swimming and rowing. They picked the easy stuff.
Right. But about
Wow.
10 days into it, my daughters, without me prompting them or anything, started to talk amongst themselves about what was happening to their practices. And that my oldest daughter was saying, going upstream in the Mississippi in singles, because they have singles, doubles, and then fours, and then bigger even than that. But they were in singles, and she was, let's just put it this way, really, really kicking some butt. And she just was telling my other daughter that practice is easy now, and this is rowing, and so then my 16-year-old chimed in and goes, I'm recovering so fast between sets, and you got to understand, she comes from a swimming team since she was 5 years old. Her coach was a former Navy SEAL. These are not easy practices, and the wind shake in the pool when he yells at the kids. Trust me, he doesn't care if they're children. He will yell at them if they're not doing what they're told. So my kids are tough. And she said, this is, and fast forward a couple of months, they're having the best seasons they've ever had. They're, because especially girls, they'll get to a point where they mature and then they kind of level off and they can't get any faster for a while, right? Or they never get faster. And it's a tough time for these kids. Well, all of a sudden, my 16-year-old is going boom and starting to climb back up and dropping time. She goes, I'm turning times in the 100. Like I never even thought I'd was ever going to reach. And she goes, and it's not even hard. That's the thing. So when I heard talking like that, Memorial Day was the next day. And I said, well, I guess I better test it out. So I'm going to do something I haven't done in a long, long time, well over a year since I had done really any real running. And so I said, Memorial Day's tomorrow, an average of 22 veterans commit suicide per day. So I'm going to go out, run 22 miles. I'm 54 years old. I haven't run for over a year, but I'm going to give it a shot. So I ran out 11 miles down a country road by my house, and then I turned around and I came back and figured I was going to be crippled the next day, and I was hardly sore and got up the next day and ran a 5-mile recovery run. And that right then, it just concreted in my brain. I knew it was going to work, but it really concreted it for me in my brain that this is unique.
So that just blows me away. I mean, obviously, I was being facetious earlier with swimming and rowing. Those are incredibly taxing and difficult and competitive sports for someone to be in. And so for your daughters to have that kind of gain that quickly in recovery, you mentioned muscle recovery, you mentioned endurance and
speed, everything.
So everything. And
everything.
I would guess, and let me ask this question for you. I would guess that there's a potential for them to go on to, them to go on to professional potential, as well as all your fighters, right? This may be a question with people that are in, some sort of level of professional athletics. This is all natural. There's no chance of any problems with, drug testing or.
No, because here's the thing is, where you walk into a GNC or another store like that, the products in there are made in, 7 factories or more maybe. But I remember, at a time where there was only a few factories making all of that. So the chance of cross-contamination in those products is very, very real. Well, Black Oxygen Organics, from the swamp to the package, they handle all of it, and that's the only product that they deal with. So there's no chance of cross-contamination. It's 100% plant-based, 100% organic. So yeah, you've got and there are UFC fighters who have been ordering it. I've been paying attention to the orders coming through.
Yeah.
And there are UFC fighters getting it. We've already got one world champion also. And so it's totally safe. It just, people of course are going to be wary. They want to double check, and that's nobody wants to get suspended for taking something that they shouldn't, but they have this. If you test positive for something, it wasn't this product.
Right. It's as natural as it gets, right? I mean, and that's the beauty of this. And 45% more oxygen at the cellular level. That's absolutely insane. And we don't need to dig into all the details of the science. Yeah, you're taking yours right now. But the fact that it's also chelating heavy metals and taking out the garbage, if you will, from the cell at the same time, I mean, that's an athlete's dream, right? I mean, talk about amazing.
Now let's talk to Bas Rutten. We're talking about a legend from even before UFC. This gentleman was a 3-time king of pancrase, world champion, finished his career with a 22-fight unbeaten streak. He's a UFC Hall of Famer. This is a world-renowned fighter and athlete that everyone loves and respects. Let's hear from Bas Rutten.
Oh, okay, yeah, same story here like with Paul Lazenby. Pat told me, he says, hey, you got to try this stuff out. It goes really well with your O2 trainer, which is a long training event that I had, which is right now taking care of asthma, COPD, all that kind of stuff. So it works really good, but, it doesn't take care of allergies. So if I'm walking in the hills here with my dog, I'm hiking, I'm still having pollen, I still start wheezing. Now, I'm much stronger, so I pull straight through. I don't need an inhaler. But like oxygen, within days, that was gone. Every morning I would walk around here. You gotta ask my whole family with a napkin and paper towel because my nose was running all the time, completely gone. Bloody noses, I had that. That's the latest that we found out now. For the last 2 years, I blow my nose a little hard, boom, it starts bleeding. Happens also during the day. That is also completely gone. Stretching, I've been stretching for 5 years. I stretch every day. I'm very limber. It's very painful though if I do it. And I need to do it because of my knees. I have no cartilage in my kneecaps, which is a very hard problem. It's almost the only problem they can't fix. So the stretching is a nightmare, and it's really killing me. That is completely gone. I do not believe it. Like, I'm more flexible now. I'm talking about 4 weeks or 5 weeks in, and I had zero pain when stretching. Another friend of mine, I started talking, because this is the thing also, once I started realizing this to me, my first customers were all my best friends. They were literally the first guys I called. It was not like, oh, you're trying to sell something. No, I'm trying to sell you something good. That's what I'm trying to do because it's really that good. Muscle aches. I was talking to a buddy of mine who was also over 50 years of age. Every time when you went to my local, you train your chest, and then a week later, if you train your chest 2 more times, that pain is gone and you can train as hard as you want. Not anymore when you pass 55, I guess. Because now you're in pain all freaking day long. And I asked him, I said, do you have the same thing? And he said, exactly the same thing. Well, that is gone now too as well. So, 30% compared to the 100% that was before. So, like Pat said, he ran the 22 miles. He thought the next day he was going to be crushed. I would do that after work. I think, maybe I push it too hard. Absolutely nothing. So, and this is me just going 5-6 weeks in. And all these pluses that I see already now, less inflammation, the faster recovery. I was training. This is also 100% true story. I have birds here under I have a roof here, but there's also my back there that I kick. It's right here, standing here. And I didn't kick for at least 6 weeks because we have birds here. They were feeding the birds, and I was afraid because the birds started yelling at me, and I'm afraid that the little ones are going to die. So I didn't do anything for 6 weeks. I went to Budapest. I came back. 2 days later, I flew through a 30-minute workout that I normally do, that I used to do for when I was competing. And it's a 1 minute kicking with 1 minute rest. And people are going to go down, yeah, it's 1 minute kicking. Not the way I do it. I'll guarantee you, I'll bet you cannot do it the way I do it. Because I go full blast. And I just flew through the workout. And I literally looked at my wife. I said, this is insanity. I mean, I didn't train stamina for 6 weeks. And the next day, no muscle aches. So this is what I have now, but I think it's going to be much more going further.
Now let's talk to Paul Lazenby. Talk about a crazy and awesome career. This is an NFC Canadian mixed martial arts champion. He's been the undisputed Canadian Muay Thai kickboxing champion. And on top of all of that, you see him in movies and may not even know it. He's the Stone Cold Steve Austin stunt double that takes all the hits for him. And his list of accomplishments in Hollywood is insane. You've seen him in iRobot, Catwoman, Elektra, X-Men 2, X-Men The Last Stand, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. You've seen him in War of the Planet of the Apes and Deadpool 2. I mean, this is one incredible career from strongman competitions and kickboxing and mixed martial arts. And now he's got some things to share with you about what this product is doing for him in his journey and his health. Let's hear from him now.
Paul, Paul, you've got a crazy career, man. Everything from a world champion to doubling for WWE wrestlers on, in movies and film and all that stuff. I mean, you're a phenomenal athlete. I've followed your career for a while. You're an amazing guy. And like me, we're not that young anymore, right? We're not 16 anymore. And so when I heard your testimony, and I'd love to hear a little bit more, and again, for anybody that knows your career, they already know you, man. You're just a champion in every sense of the word. But if they don't know you, the bottom line is, you're a guy looking for, health answers, just like the rest of us. And you found them in this. And I just want to hear it straight from you. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts.
Sure. Yeah, well, I'll just go over my background a little bit. I started out as a competitive strongman and powerlifter back in the late 80s, early 90s. Moved into professional wrestling, so I was doing both of them simultaneously. I ended up wrestling all over the world. I wrestled in Africa, wrestled all over North America. And then during the course of that, I kind of, because of the crazy nature of mixed martial arts, and Pat can attest to this, in the 90s, it was the Wild West. If you were warm and breathing and stupid, you could get in. So with no qualifications whatsoever, I never wrestled in high school. I never did a martial arts tournament or boxing match. I'd only ever had street fights. That was the full extent of my fighting experience.
Nice.
I got brought into what was arguably the #1 promotion in the world at the time, called Pancrase, which was where people like Bas Rutten were fighting, and
legend there.
Yeah. So I just jumped into the deep end and swam with the sharks and got my ass kicked over and over again and learned how to fight that way. Ended up finally, after losing my first 6 fights, I finally started winning, and I became the undisputed Canadian Muay Thai kickboxing champion. And at the same time, I held the NFC Canadian Mixed Martial Arts Championship and retired with all those titles. Overlapping all this, I also started 20 years ago as an actor and a stuntman here in Vancouver, BC. And what I consider to be the highlight of a career that is riddled with highlights. I mean, I would say playing Marcus Phoenix in Gears of War is right up there, but the #1 highlight would be my run doubling Steve Austin. He came up here and we did 7 movies together. He broke my nose in the first one, and then after that I doubled him, so I didn't have to worry about him clobbering me anymore. So yeah, I've always had a mind toward athleticism and longevity. I remember being like a 20-year-old kid and seeing the in-shape 30-year-old guys in the gym and thinking, okay, I'm going to be that guy. What do I have to do to be that guy? When I was 30, it was 40-year-olds. When I was 40, it was 50-year-olds. And now it's really cool because my training partner is half my age, literally. And he says that to me now. It's like, dude, when I hit my early 50s, man, that's what I'm shooting for right there. So I know I'm doing it right. But that's why when Pat put this in front of me, well, first of all, I was, even though I never doubt Pat, but at the same time, you got to be skeptical. I mean, this stuff works so well. I've tried hundreds and hundreds of supplements in my life. It sounds too good to be true on paper. So I had to try it, on the strength of Pat's word, I was going to give it a shot. And, he called me up day 3, day 4, you feeling it yet? You feeling it yet? And I said, no, well, honestly, Pat, I don't think so. And he just laughed. He said, you just wait. And day 6, I tore the gym to pieces. And it was like I was in my late 20s or early 30s again. I was throwing heavy weights around, but my joints weren't flaring up like they usually do. And I had that moment that a lot of my clients now, like a lot of people I introduced to Black Oxygen have, where you sit there and you're like, it can't be that, can it? And you're doubting it for a while. Like, it's got to be placebo. It can't be that. And then you realize this is the only thing it could be. I introduced Black Oxygen, and all of a sudden my athleticism went up. But the real turning point for me was a week before I went on it. I started Black Oxygen on my 52nd birthday. Best present I ever gave myself.
Nice.
And a week before I did it, I had what was for me a typical heavy squat day, a barbell squat day. I did 545 pounds for 3 repetitions, and it was grinders, and I had to rack the bar because I almost blacked out. I was hanging onto the bar afterwards so I wouldn't fall down. That was all normal for me, to nearly black out during sets and really be in pain after a set. And then the rest of that day and most of the next day was devoted to recuperation, just walking around like a zombie, waiting to loosen up again. That was normal. So a week following that workout with 545, I started on Black Oxygen. A week after that, I'd only been on this for 1 week. I went back in the gym. I put 551 on my shoulders, and I did it 5 times. Way more explosive, way easier, no head spins. I wasn't blacking out. And about a half an hour after that set, my training partner's looking at me funny. He said, dude, you're supposed to be walking like an old man by now. I'm like, yeah, I'm not stiffening up. Like I'm a little stiff and sore because that's so much weight, but it's like 30% of what it normally is. And it never got above that level. I was waiting for it to set in. the next morning, where I would have normally just been laying around waiting for my body to recover, I was up at 6 a.m. doing DDP yoga, so it's,
Incredible. Yeah.
that right there was when I Pat had been telling me, you really need to sell this stuff. And I'm not a salesman by nature. I cringed when he made the offer. And that's when I contacted Pat and said, dude, sign me up. Because this is something where I can look anybody in the face, no matter if they're athlete, non-athlete, old, young, sick, healthy. I can look anybody in the face and say, you will be much better off for taking this, and mean it, and know that it's never going to come back on me, because it's the truth.
That's amazing. That's one of those things, like you said, you hear people talk about this thing and that thing that's helped them, whatever supplements they've taken, but never have I ever in my professional career, and I've been doing marketing for 30 plus years for some of those other supplements and some of those other products, and never have I ever heard so many people tell the similar stories about just how it impacted them and how quickly. Right? I mean, people are finding immediate success. We're talking, 3 to 10 day mark. They're seeing and feeling large differences in their health and their lives and their recovery. And even not just the athlete. You mentioned to anybody, not even a professional athlete, just an average Joe. The benefits that they can get from this are just tremendous. And that's why I'm excited about this. And of course, it's kind of like in the racing world, right? All the best tires are tested on the racetrack, but those are the kind you want on your car regardless, right? I feel the same way with this, right? You guys are the race cars. You guys are the professional athletes who've been doing this all your life. If it works for you, I want it too, right? and that's why we're excited about this.
One real acid test for me that it's really cool to see is I've been working in the Vancouver film and television industry for 20 years, so I know a lot of stunt performers, and we have 100% injury rate in stunt performing. Everybody's hurt all the time to one extent or another. Pat will tell you it's the same in fighting. So to be getting reorders from people, it's people contacting me. Sometimes, in certain cases with certain elite athletes, sometimes it's their first dose, where they'll call me up and go, dude, what's going on?
What is this?
Yeah, I had one female stunt performer called me and said, I just jump rope for an hour straight and trained for 3 hours straight, and I've never done that in my life. And she had been on it for 3 days. Alex Kitchkevich, I like to bring him up. He's a crazy Ukrainian acrobatic freak. I don't think he's a human being. I mean, he is Ryan Reynolds' stunt double in Deadpool, because anything you see Deadpool do in the comic books, Alex can do for real. So you can imagine the level of talent, but also the level of stress that his body's under to need that level of explosiveness and flexibility and be doing high impact stuff on concrete sometimes and things. And he's had some horrendous injuries. And he just put in his second order with me. He said, this is crazy. I can train a lot longer now without a break, and my nagging injuries aren't bothering me anymore. And this is on a body with a lot of road miles on it. So I'm getting story after story like that from professional stunt performers who can't afford to be taking something that doesn't work. They're not going to, and they know me too. They're going to bust my chops like crazy if I sell them something that isn't good. So it's just one person after another, and word's getting out. I expect to be, I've already got another Vancouver stunt performer who wanted to sign up as a distributor. And so he's out there getting it out there as well. And I just see this thing being really, really huge, among everybody, among the stunt community, among athletes, among non-athletes, everybody.
Well, and one of the things that's interesting about what you and Pat are both talking about, I mean, you guys are professionals and you're working with other professionals. You don't take that lightly. You can't introduce something into your bodies or your world, period, that can jeopardize that. That's your livelihood. That's your life, right? It's not just, hey, I want to feel better, let's try anything that I can, right? You guys are very cautious and cautiously optimistic, I'm sure, with whatever that you take. But when you do find something that's completely all natural, that works the way that this works, I mean, it's just mind blowing, right? So, well, let me ask one last question. Either you guys can answer if you like. For the average Joe, for the guy that's not doing any sort of athletics for his daily routine, what would be the takeaway for them in your mind?
Well, I'll speak to this because I've had so many people reach out to me after taking the product or even getting their parents on the product. One guy said, He goes, man, he goes, you changed my dad's life. My dad tore his Achilles tendon. You know, he's not done anything since then, and it's been years. You know, losing his health. You know, everything's gone downhill. He goes, my dad's getting out of bed at 5 a.m. now. He's going to the gym. He's working out. You know, my dad's making a comeback because of this stuff. You know, and
That's fantastic. Yeah.
that's something that, you know, putting the right things in his dad's body. This product has completely changed his outlook on his life, and that is bigger than any world championship.
Absolutely.
That's bigger than anything we could do. We're changing people's lives to the point where they literally they want to live life. You know what I mean? That's big.
Absolutely. I want to thank you guys for your time, sharing your stories, sharing what this means to you. The goal here obviously is to share with as many people as possible, because like you just illustrated beautifully, you know, changing someone's health is changing their life, right? In whatever capacity that is, whether they're a professional athlete or they have ailments or problems that they need to get through, or they just need to be healthier, like all of us, right? So that's our goal here, truly. So I thank you for your time and invested in doing that with us.
So you heard it here, guys, directly from Pat, Bas, and Paul. These are extremely credible gentlemen who know a thing or two about health and what they can do to push their bodies to the limits and recovery. And this is a product that can help in all those things, whether you're an athlete or not. We're talking 45% more oxygen at the cellular level on top of a ton of other benefits. My advice would be get back to whoever got you this video and see how you can try this today.
We do not treat, cure, or prevent any disease. It's a natural mineral product that allows your body to heal itself.